I think we're live and I don't know when. And I love this little area where I'm not sure if I'm live yet. So I think we're done. Maybe not. I got to mute this thing. Here we are. We are live on Cheerful Conversations. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Apryl Schluter. I'm going to take some time in a second to share this link to this video out so people can come check us out live as I'm starting to understand this whole YouTube business. But welcome to episode 11. In the spirit of just life right now being crazy and sometimes things don't go according to plan, and knowing that tomorrow is my very last day of my level 5 class at IO Theater, where I've been taking improv for 40 weeks tomorrow, I had to shift some things around. And today I am going to focus solely on the art of improv. I don't have a script. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but this is my opportunity to share everything that I've learned on a personal and improv basis, or the art of improv basis, to share all of this with you today and see what comes of it. So there may have been just a tiny little bit of planning because logistically we had to plan the time and all of that, but what comes after me playing the intro video, I have no clue. So with that, let's run the intro and welcome to Cheerful Conversations. I love that. The audio that I picked for that, I have no idea. But anyways, now you see that I have a guest with me today, and this is a guest as of this morning who bravely and boldly decided to come onto this show. As she has no idea what she's about to endure, and I'm not really sure I know either. But as usual, I think, we've been doing this show for 10 times already. I kind of know the drill, which is always a good thing. But I wanted to, as I mentioned, talk a little bit about the art of improv and go with this. So I have my guest co-host today, Marelda Rodrigues. Hey, Marelda, thanks so much for being here.
Hey, how are you?
I am so good. And so it's funny because I usually plan out these shows very, very well. And when I have to kind of change things up, I have to come up with a new plan. And in this new era of embracing improvisation, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I just plan to not have a plan. And how do I do that? So Marelda reached out to me at like 8:50 this morning and said, hey, I think I'm free. I don't know what to do. I don't know what your show is, but hey, let's do this. And so she literally has no clue what we're going to talk about, but we did get a chance briefly before we went live to talk about some ideas at a very high level. And so we're going to dive deep into it. But this is going to be my test to see if I can commit to memory how I run my show. Usually I introduce my host and do the intro video and all that stuff. But then next, I want to, basically have you guys understand who Marelda is. We met January, right?
Yep.
Yeah, in January. So, yeah. Marelda, why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you do?
All right. Hey, everybody. I am a functional medicine certified health coach, and I help entrepreneurs who are so exhausted to re-energize and become vibrant so that they can thrive in their businesses. And basically, I have people look at their health profiles, make sure they're robust, make sure that they're not falling apart when their family or their businesses need them the most. So yeah, that's what I do.
I love it. And what's great about how we met was both of us were speaking at this event called Ignite. And it's in Chicago. It was my second time. Was it your first time, Marelda?
It was my first time, yeah.
So it's this 5-minute speech. They've got 10 speakers usually. You do 5 minutes, you have 20 slides, and they auto advance every 15 seconds. And it can be a topic of any sort. You're not it's not, catered towards pitching yourself in what you do, but it could also be something that you're passionate about, which could align with your business. And so because it was January, I talked about setting goals and all the things that hold you back. I didn't plan for that as much as I did the very first one. So I feel like that one wasn't as good as my first time doing Ignite. And Marelda, you talked about color, which I just absolutely loved, because it doesn't really have anything to do with what you do with work, but it was the slides that she had were they were so bold and vibrant, and all the color palettes, and it was just amazing. And you did so well. I was so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, actually, color does have a lot to do with health.
Oh.
But what was interesting is when I attended Ignite Chicago back in October or November, and Ali had said, you can't sell your thing. And I was thinking, well, how am I going to story tell around health? And so it just struck me that, color is something that we don't know a lot about and how it affects health. And I thought, I think I'm going to take that, because color is one of my favorite things. Like if I tend to notice vibrance, I tend to notice how people come alive with colors, so I tend to notice these things. And it's
awesome.
And so I just figured, I'm going to tell the world something they don't know about color.
Yeah, no, and I think it is great. And yeah, and I think you can apply anything to everything. And so that, you don't automatically think of, oh, how does color impact health? But like, you see it in even business branding and all of that. Wait, so what's your favorite color?
My favorite color is actually green.
Okay. And you're wearing it today. Yes.
And I'm all around it.
Yes, absolutely. And I think you know what my favorite color is, because I talk about it all the time and you can kind of see. But purple is my color. So that's so great. But it is interesting, because the first talk that I did, I talked about how to judge more compassionately, because I've always been in this place of everything, the way that we judge people just tends to default to negative, and how can you do it in a more positive way? And it was still related to some of the work that I do, but I was trying to put a different spin on it. And so that's great. I love how, and I didn't feel like, but I didn't necessarily feel like the things that you were saying, like directly, kind of insinuated that, what you did as in terms of your career. So like when I think of color, I have a client who's a color expert. And so I could totally see her doing that kind of talk. And I know you talked about vegetables and stuff like that in your talk, but it was just interesting to see, because it was like, wow, this is a really engaging topic, and you don't know where you're going with it, but it is so applicable to everything, because it's everywhere. Right. And it affects our foods, which then affects our health. You see it in all these different things. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And especially, I think it's great when you're, I think one of the big reasons I picked it is because it's so taken for granted. We kind of know the trees are green, water's blue, we see the lake every day, or, we see the trees have like brown stems, or, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think it tends to become this autopilot living. And I think one of the things that I did want to do with color was sort of bring people to, hey, notice what's in front of you. Take your nose out of your phone and look around you. Yeah. And so that's kind of also what I was doing, like even what people pick to wear, the shoes, even, I guess, even when you look at the sky, I mean, what is it when it's stormy? What is it when it's sunny? How much can you stare at the sky and see the stars? And so it's really that awareness that I think we've lost. So I was trying to bring that to the forefront too with that talk. Yeah.
And I love that, because self-awareness is the one thing that I feel like is the simplest thing that you can do to improve yourself in all ways. Mentally, physically, emotionally, just understanding what actions you're taking and seeing what's right in front of you, and then using that to take another action or continue doing the same thing. So I love that. I love how it all, like everything just kind of meshes together and ties in. So that's awesome.
Yes, it does.
All right. So my next question for you, because I'm remembering my script way better than I thought I did. What is something that you geek out on that's then, I guess, not health related or anything that you do in your business? It could be a fun fact about you that people may not know.
I geek out about cooking.
Cooking. Awesome.
Yeah, it's, and when I say geek out, I mean styles of cooking, cuisines. And my favorite is throwing cuisines together. Like something from a Chinese cuisine and a Mexican cuisine is going to show up on my plate.
Oh,
So,
I love it.
but I just, for me, it's another play on color because I like making colorful food. And so then I geek out on how can I throw ingredients together? What is this thing going to taste like? And so I would say that is something that I really love to do. I'm trying to think of other things. Definitely genetics.
I'm doing a genetic test in next month. I have no idea what to expect. I'll have to improvise that too.
I was going to say improv all the way.
Yeah. Well, they had to put me through this questionnaire where they were asking questions like, who's in your family? Have they had this? Blah, blah, blah. You have polyps? And I'm like, I don't know. Do they even know what those are? I don't even know. So it was very, very intense. And I'm like, what more can they ask me that I know the answer to? Like, just take my blood and if you can see something.
And tell me a story.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's very, very interesting. Okay. So the next question that I tend to ask is I have this game called Vulnerability is Sexy. And this is all new to you because you haven't seen my show yet. There are questions that allow you in a vulnerable, safe space to answer. And so there's different levels. There's the very deep ones, which I'm not doing. I'm not there yet. But there's a bunch of icebreaker questions. So what I can do, like improving around the fire truck. There are questions that are icebreakers. So we'll wait for that.
It's interesting because when you're in the city, that's so normal.
Yeah, and it's like you don't even hear.
No, I don't. I did not even hear that until you said something, and I was like, oh yeah.
For sure. Okay.
It's something very, very exciting going on in Chicago. Clearly, I'm not in the right spot.
It's okay. We're enjoying the nature. Now it's getting louder, right?
Well, it's because it's passing right in front of me, but it'll be gone in a moment. All right.
Okay. So I will pull. It's like maybe is there another one?
Nope. Okay. They're just headed away.
Okay. So there's a segment of questions in this that are just icebreakers. So I'm going to pull one out and we're going to both answer it and just see what happens. So,
okay,
ready?
All right. I am.
Okay. The question is, think about a sunset. How does it make you feel? I don't know if I can, there.
There we go.
Sunset. It's kind of, I've got a lot of lights on me right now. So I'm like, how do I make it see? Yeah. So thinking about a sunset, how does it make you feel?
It makes me feel, I would say serene, calm, and also a sense of awe at the color.
I knew you were going to say something about color.
But it's that fieriness, it's fascinating to me that the sun can be kind of like a white molten in the daytime, and then it can be this fiery orange at a sunset. And it colors the sky. The sky can be all kinds of other designs with the clouds and all of that. But I think it's the serenity. And I think why I think serenity is most times in my life, I've witnessed sunsets by an ocean or by some kind of water body. And so I feel serenity from the whole reflection in the water kind of thing. So it's an experience for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I feel like when I think about sunset, I think about just like the culmination of the end of the day, right? Because that's the time of the day that it is. And this is a good metaphor. So just thinking about like the reflection as it comes down, you know, over the water, if you're looking out on a sunset. But that's usually what I picture, even though most of the time sunset in the city, it's just the sun just disappears and the sky gets darker. But picturing it from, you know, being at the horizon when you're looking out on the water, sunset's in the west, right? So west facing in the ocean, and seeing the reflection, it reminds me just of that thought of like having that calm and serenity that you were talking about, but then also really reflecting on the things that happened in that day and taking that in and knowing that coming back on the other side, you start new and you start over again. And so it's that cycle of life. And yeah, I think that's the image that I think about when we see. So love it. Great. That was a nice, simple question. I've had some that were like harder, so that was good. So thank you for playing that. Okay.
Of course.
There's some other things that I do, and I'll recap at the very end of today with a potential Ask Apryl Anything question. I actually did ask people on social media if they wanted to share anything that I can put on the show. So I'm going to check that more towards the end of the show and just see what happens. So we'll talk a lot, maybe for like the next 20 minutes, just about improv and improv in general. And so what's interesting, you know, I'm taking this whole idea of the sunset and reflecting on the last 8-10 months of doing improvisation. You know, the reason that I did it was because one of my dear friends, Gary, so who I hope, I just like to shout out, we're working on some business ventures together. He teaches improv in San Diego. He had told me that, you know, he enjoys public speaking. That was something that I was interested in. And he said, you know, Toastmasters wasn't my thing. So I was trying to look for new and different things to try. So I just decided to do improv, and it changed my life. And having a theater background, I decided, oh, this is great. I would love to do that because I miss being on stage. I went the nerdy math and science route, and I miss like my theater and fine arts roots. Maybe I should do that instead of, and because we got along so well, I was like, well, if he likes improv and doesn't like Toastmasters, I'm going to listen to him and I'm going to do that too. So that was part of the main reason that I decided to do improv, to just kind of get in touch with things that I was passionate about when I was younger and had the bandwidth to do. And B, figure out a way to improve my confidence from stage. So in that process too, the first Ignite talk that I did, I had been in improv for a month. So it was so scary. But what I've noticed in my personal transformation, so you think that you're going to get out there to learn this art form, this theater art form, right? Comedy, really like understanding how to make up stuff that's funny on the fly. But I think that one of the real important things that I noticed about improv is how this is so applicable to real life. We improvise our lives every single day. Yes, we have a little bit of a plan, but we can't expect when, you know, we hurt ourselves or, you know, somebody doesn't show up at a certain time, and we have to make snap decisions all the time. So I was able to learn how to be a better decision maker, learn to let go of perfection in a big way. And I have been a perfectionist my entire life and have struggled with it. And so this was, you know, 3 hours of pushing myself constantly outside of my comfort zone every day, not knowing what was going to come out of my mouth. And half the time it was like absolutely ridiculous. But sometimes those ridiculous moments were the times that I felt like I did the best. And it's almost submitting to letting go of control. And it's not easy for people who are high achieving, like to have plans, like to control, like to manifest and create, because you have to create in the moment. And so when I started doing this show, I think I've mentioned a lot of improvisation, but it's become easier and easier for me to wing these shows and planning less and less and saying, let's just see what magic comes of this. And I still like planning because I want to make sure that the flow of the show doesn't come out to be this crazy, you know, oh, I'm just going to talk about this and then this, and there's no structure, because that wouldn't necessarily be a show that you'd want to watch, I would assume. But going into any show with very mindful planning, even if it's to not have a plan, but to still have some sort of basis structure. So the last 5 months, I've been trying to figure out like what's a good flow for the show. And every single person that's been on this show, so the 9 people before you, because I did the first episode myself, the 9 people before you, they were like, wow, that went by so fast. And we just kept on talking and then it was over. And I'm like, I know, right? It's so fun because you get into these deep conversations and you learn so much. But it's really something that, this whole last class that I've been in, level 5. So we're learning about different forms and different structures of improvisation. It's tough. Like the first 4 or 5 weeks, I was like, I hate this and I just want to be done. And only last week I was like, that was actually a fun class. And tomorrow night we're doing some musical improv, which I think is the type of improv that I may enjoy the most. I might change my mind in a few months, so you'll find out. But I love to sing, and I have a tendency to make up songs using songs that exist already. So, and they're ridiculous, but it still might be fun. And then just see what happens. And so we're doing that tomorrow, and that's the class that we end on. There's a graduation show next Saturday, but I won't be here, so I'm going to miss it. I'm super sad. But it's been a really big personal growth, even though the main thing that I was doing improv for business-wise was to become a better speaker. And I think that it's done that and then some. I learned so many life lessons that I want to take this and implement this in my coaching practices and the things that I'm teaching my clients and people who follow me. So it's just been a great blessing to see that it's given more gifts than just learning the art form. So I don't know. And I know that you have had interest in maybe doing improv one day. And I don't know, are there any questions that you have about it, or just, and I know that you met me as I've already started to be on this journey, but what are your thoughts of improv as somebody who hasn't done it yet and is kind of intrigued by it?
Well, I'll tell you where my interest actually stems from. In college, I used to recruit entertainment for the college. So I used to recruit the comedians.
Oh, that's an awesome job, man. I would do that.
So I got to see their sort of like their publicity videos. And then I would see them on campus when I met them to greet them. And then I'd watch their shows, and then I'd go to Comedy Central, and then I'd watch them over there. And so I got to see some of their lines would repeat, because, you take a piece of the show and you kind of repeat it. So I'd be like, oh, they said that when they were at college. And so I've always sort of had it in the back of my head, but I've never really thought of it as something I would do as a stepping stone to something else or ever in my life.
Yeah.
And I think becoming a coach and, wanting to be sort of a speaker that has so many things to talk about, but could be on the fly and very quick about switching topics, or, running with something that the audience gives you, or just kind of, oh, this isn't working, let's go this way, and sort of doing those quick turns. And I think that was kind of what caught my attention, because I could do the speech thing and do the Toastmaster thing, and nothing wrong with them. I know so many people that are so successful with Toastmasters. It's great.
For sure.
But I think, the other reason why I'm looking at it is because my topic of health tends to come with this heaviness. Mm-hmm. And the way I do health and my personality is not a heavy personality. For sure. Yes, I can be intense, but I think that, when you infuse sense of humor in something, people tend to remember that. Mm-hmm. They tend to remember this person was different than most people who talk about health. And so I think that's kind of where I started really thinking about it. And I still am really interested in following and understanding how I could infuse that into health, because I don't see that happening a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, just the idea of delivering a message without some seriousness and more of a sense of humor, I think is well received.
Absolutely. And I think that was part of why I wanted to do it. I mean, because anybody who's a coach knows that this work is hard, right? And what if you could just have fun along the way, right?
Yeah.
If you could do it in a way that it's different and innovative. And not a lot of people think about that because it's like, oh, this is a career and we have to be professional, and you can still be lighthearted and have fun with it. But it's just a matter of, how, I mean, and it might also just be part of your personality, right? I mean, some people do want to be a little bit more serious, and that's totally okay, but I'm definitely not one of those people. And I think even when I think about improv, and one of the things that I see, because I'm coming into taking these classes with the intent that I'm not trying to make a career out of it, although it's definitely led me to ponder some things about where I want to take my life and question whether coaching is the be all end all. But one of the things that improv has, being in this space with these people who are focused on making a career out of it, they want to be actors, they want to, do comedy. They maybe, it might be a means to get into stand-up, or maybe they want to be on SNL someday. It can definitely be intimidating because they're studying it hard. And I'm like, I'm just here to have fun. But so sometimes I struggle with that, because then I'm like, oh, they probably think they're way better than me and I suck. But that's not an attitude that you should have going into this, because we're all making up everything, on the spot. And it doesn't matter if you're going to take it. It's all about, being present and giving the people that you're doing a scene with gifts, and really just focusing on the art form, and it's still applicable to life. And so sometimes I have to take myself out of that and know when I get criticism or constructive criticism or feedback on how I'm doing, my natural instinct is to be like, I suck at improv, I quit. Because it's so hard. It is really, really hard. And my friend Gary is always like, oh, you're in the improv toddler phase, or now you're in the improv adolescent phase. And it's totally true. Because at the beginning I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. You're like, you're a toddler, you're just exploring. And then now I'm like, it just doesn't, I was in a groove and now I'm not in a groove. And they're like, you're an adolescent. I'm like, I just feel like I don't want to do this anymore. They're like, yep, you're in that stage. And so there's definitely those stages of growth. But I think what I hear, and I've experienced it, is like when you totally let go of the outcome, which I think is a lot of what we struggle with in life, because everybody tells you got to hustle, you have to have a plan, you got to know where you're going from point A to point B, which I think is important. But when you're able to let go, there's still going to be some magical things that happen. And that's been the theme of my year. It's like, well, what if I just don't plan to do too much? Because I'm an overachiever. I like to go to the nth degree and like be like, I accomplished this thing and this thing. But like, what if I just tried to not accomplish anything? And that would be my accomplishment, is to let go. And this year has been it feels almost just as busy as the other years when I had things that I said I had to do. There's opportunities that are flying at me and I'm like, oh, okay, I got to make this happen. But I can also do things really like so much faster because I'm just like, okay, I need to do it. What do I have to do? What's the bare bones? And I don't think twice about, oh my gosh, what are people going to think? I just do it. I've had so many technical issues with the show, and, other people, my friend John, who did, I think, episode 3 or 4, he spilled water all over his laptop 30 minutes before the show was supposed to air. He's like, maybe we need to cancel. And I was like, I'm not canceling, but let's just take a deep breath and like figure it out. What can we do? Do you want to use your phone? It might not be as great quality, but we can still have a conversation. And we did it. And that, even just as a personal growth idea, is so good, because a lot of people will sit there and be like, oh my God, no, I can't. I messed it up. It's ruined. It's over. And they give up. And when you're trying to figure out like, how do you get things done? How do you accomplish anything? And it's taking those stressful situations. Yeah, I can't even talk right now. Take those stressful situations and just be like, okay, I this is the situation. It's not ideal, but how am I going to choose how I'm going to react to it? Right? I can give up and I can do something different, or I can push through. And sometimes the better choice might be to cancel it altogether and just come back to it. Right? But maybe not. So really understanding that and using those improv tools it's definitely a game changer. So like, I definitely would love to see you take a class and let me know what you think.
I think it would be great. I think it would be great because, one of the things I feel humor does, especially, if you think about some of the things that we're facing even in the world at the moment, and you look at the comedians that take exactly those terrible things and they find an angle of humor to it. So they're not necessarily directly making fun of the situation, but they're finding like a politician they can go after, or a policy or a sign that they saw at this event, or they'll find a humorous angle. And I think it puts people listen, going back to health, it just puts people in a different state. It takes them out of that stress mode and puts them in a completely, either relaxed or hopeful mode, which is so much better for the body anyway. So I just think there's so many great applications, and I just feel it's a great way to connect with humans.
Totally.
In a serious context, it's a great way to sort of break the ice sometimes. Sometimes ease. Maybe they've gotten some bad news, and you kind of ease that up. So I just think there's so many applications to it, and I think it's it's just different. It's just different than what people are doing. I don't know too many doctors with improv backgrounds or health coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you be up for trying an improv activity? I'm totally making this up on the spot.
Sure. I don't know what that means, but sure.
Okay, so this is a super simple activity, and I've done it before, so we can do it. But I think it's fun. I was just starting to take a look at the post that I left this morning and see if there were any Facebook comments. And so I am going to share a word that's going to be like the theme for inspiration, and we're going to play this game called One Word Story. So I'll start just so that we can do it, but we're going to basically tell this we're going to tell a story together, and we're going to use this theme, and we're going to just make sentences and then start new sentences and maybe go for like 5 minutes and just see what comes of this story. I'll probably have it translated and put it in the show notes later. But lots of fire trucks. I hope those aren't real fires. So I'm going to share the theme, and then I will say a word. So just as an example, we'll just do a sentence. I'll say once, and then you'll say
upon.
A.
Moment.
One.
Silly.
Cockatoo.
Jumped.
Over.
Branches.
And.
Fell.
On.
A bush.
Okay. A bush. And.
Blinked.
Twice. Okay, so we can stop that right there. So, we're playing off of each other. We have no idea what we're going to say. I kind of cheated by just saying and throwing it back at you, but I'll try not to do that as much. But we'll do that. We'll take one word, and then we'll just start a story and just see where it goes for like 3 minutes. So maybe let's do 3 minutes, and I'll put a timer. So let me really quickly check. Okay. So I'm going to say the word, and then we'll start, and let me just put the timer on, and then we'll just see what happens and go. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
So I'm going to put 3 minutes on the timer, and then we'll see what happens. Okay. So the topic, or the word suggestion was given by my one of my former coworkers, Gina. So, right, I think that was her that did it. I just lost my Facebook thing. Yes. Gina Razum. Hey, Gina, we're going to use her word. So the word is motivation. Okay, so we'll start, and I'll start. Ready? Go. There
may
be
tremendous
moments
drawn out
into
life,
where
desperation,
and
hope,
don't
seem
to
match
what
situations
show
us
in
daily,
life,
but
motivating
pictures
can
stir
fire
within.
so
Have
faith
in
your
inner
abilities,
because
you
could
thrive
beyond
everything
when
you
didn't
you said didn't
didn't
no. I think we're done. There's like 3 seconds left. Oh my gosh, I have no idea if that made sense, but like there's my but yeah, it's like we just created that thing. I totally want to. I mean, so what did we talk about? I was trying to use motivation. I was like trying to say something like super fancy and inspiring, and I was like, oh, there were times that I said words that I'm like, ooh, that doesn't make sense, but we still played with it and we still kept going, which is the basic principle of improv, which is doing the yes and, right? You're like, okay, you said it, whether or not it makes sense, I'm going to keep going with it. I'm going to accept your suggestion and build up upon that. So there's your first improv exercise. What did you think?
Oh, that was great. Oh, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
I honestly, I was trying really hard not to laugh because these particular games always want to make me laugh because I never know what's going to come out, obviously.
Yeah.
And I just think they're funny.
Yeah.
And I've played it with coworkers before in different ways. And I just sometimes just fall over laughing. So
yeah,
I'm lucky. I'm happy I just stayed upright.
Yeah. And it is funny too, because it requires such good listening, which coaches naturally can do. But then you have to focus, because there was that one time where I didn't hear what you said because it cut out or something. And then I was like, wait, what was that word? And you're like, didn't. And I'm like, well, what was before that? And I'm like, oh, crap, I just lost my focus. So now I'm just going to say this. I don't even know what I said, but it's such a great practice of some of these like mental agility and just being able to think on a whim. So love it. Thank you so much for participating.
Oh, that was great. Oh my God, that was fun. Yeah.
Yay. She's going to be an aspiring improv comedian, everyone. So I was also looking, there was somebody who wanted to share from my comments on Facebook, which is what I love. I love this interactivity. One of my college friends, Debbie, said, here's a cheerful news story you can share about the about true sportsmanship and friendship. I saw it yesterday on Access Hollywood and it made me want to cry. I was never interested in athletes, always found them overly competitive and aggressive, but this completely changes how I feel. So I'm going to just tap on that link and maybe we'll just watch it. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Okay, let me see if I can share.
If I'm sobbing, it's going to be your fault.
It's going to be my fault. Everything's always my fault. No, I'm just kidding. And I will take it. I will take it. So give me just a second to pull this video. It's an NPR article. My internet is a little crazy. Okay, so let me pull that. I hope this isn't too long. Or is it a story? Or is it a video? Okay, let me just share this. Let's see. She saw it. Oh, so I guess she just sent the link so that I could access it. So I will share the screen in just a second. Okay, let's see. After a high school baseball game, a hug goes viral. Let's check out this story since you don't have it prepared. Let's see. A lot hung on the game. The winning team would play for Minnesota State Championship for baseball. Stepped up to bat, meeting eyes with pitcher Ty Cohn, his longtime friend. Cohn, reportedly star player of his team, the Mustangs, struck out to win the game and move ahead to the championship. Cheers broke out, and the Mustangs rushed the field in celebration. But then he did something rare. He ran to the batter, throwing his arms around him. Nearby, his team was jumping and hugging each other without him. Should we play this and see what happens?
Let's do it.
It's like, and my internet is not working. We'll see if it shows up. Play. Come on. Looks like it doesn't want to, but we'll come back to it. Let's see if it needs to. I knew I had to say something. Our friendship is more important than just the silly outcome of the game. I had to make sure that he knew that before we celebrated. Oh, that's so sweet. The moment from another angle. Let's try and see if this one works.
Maybe that'll play.
Ooh. Or not.
Or not.
It doesn't like me today. Come on, share a picture at least. Give me something to cry about. Let me just go back. Is this a photo? Should I click on this? Let's see what happens. Okay, so those are, okay. Let's see if this works. I don't know. Well, everybody knows. We'll put this in the show notes, and we'll have to watch it after the live stream is over. But
all right,
that's so great. You know, knowing that relationships are more important than friendship. I actually also had a cheerful news story that I wanted to share. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to stop sharing just so that you don't look at the 50,000 tabs that I have open on my on my stuff. But let me see if I can find it. The story that I had was centered around, it was something on Twitter. So there was a woman who was posting here. I found it. Okay. So share the screen. And this is a segment that I do, Marelda, on my show. It's called Cheerful News. So we try to comb through all the negative stuff that's on in the media and find positive stories to share with each other. So here's the other story. So there was this woman, and I read this before, so I can kind of paraphrase, but basically a woman was with her husband and they lost his wedding ring fell off and like rolled into one of those grates.
Oh no. And
so they saw it and they were like, oh my God, we need to get it. And what happened was they like tried to create all these tools to try to get it out. And then, you know, they couldn't find it. I mean, this is what they were looking at. I don't know if you can see this because I know you're on your phone, but there's like cigarette butts down there and all this stuff, just gross, keys and everything else down there. But people were so invested in wanting to help that they just kind of sat there with them and tried to problem solve and bring up some things. And then this guy actually went down in there and dug through it and found the ring and pulled it out. And so that is the ring. And so it's back with its owner, and like, that's such a great story. Like, more power to you for going in that dirt. But, you know, it's just being able to have a triumph after something like that is just amazing. So that was my cheerful news story.
Oh, that's lovely.
So I guess that was them. And this was in Philadelphia. So super cool.
Very cool.
So yeah, so cheerful news. Always a great way to reflect and do things. So yay. And what else did I wanted to make sure that what did I say that I wanted to talk about at the end? Because I'm like, I wanted to save like some minutes at the very end to do stuff. So that was one of the segments that I wanted to make sure that we do.
You talked about pulling up your Facebook post, but I'm not sure.
Oh yeah. So, and then I did kind of do that because those were the two for today. So I did all those. So yeah, we could get to make up some more stuff for another 15 minutes.
Excellent.
Yeah. So what else has been on your mind today? Or you want to just ask like random questions and see how we see what comes up?
Sure.
You want to ask or you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay.
So I can think of some questions.
Okay. So before we went live, you said you know nothing about sports. So if you had to describe in one sentence what football is, what would you say?
Depends on which football you're talking about.
Uh-oh. We're losing signal a little bit. I don't know if that's me. She's frozen. What would I look like when I was frozen? We'll see. Because I don't know if this is going to live stream and if both of us are slow. So I will just make poses like I'm frozen. Are you there, Marelda?
I am here. Can you hear me at all?
I can hear you now. It sounds better now. I don't know what people are on the video are going to say, but do you remember?
But what I was going to say, yes, the question is, what would I say about football? I said, depends on what you mean by football. Because you see, I come from the other side of the planet where it is called soccer. That's football to me. So every time someone says football, I have to sit and go, oh, in America.
Yeah. And so you can interpret it however way you want and explain how to play it with one sentence.
I think of fall. Fall season. Fall season.
Awesome. Great.
Fall and football.
Okay. There's my question. Great. Your turn.
Let's see. If you were not doing improv, what would you be doing to achieve the same outcome?
Oh my gosh. I don't know, to be honest. I actually did go to my first Toastmasters meeting last week. Sad to say it doesn't hold anything to improv. I very much enjoy improv more, but I probably would have just done that because I think at the very core of it, what I like about Toastmasters is that it helps you focus on ways to enhance your speaking. And I have a very notorious problem with the filler words, right? The like, so whatever those are. I definitely do that, but I've also kind of wanted to embrace it because I'm a very conversational speaker and want to. And I think if I know what I'm talking about, I won't spend the time doing those filler words. But I also am noticing that when I do things like meditation, which I've always been very, I've always been resistant to do, I find myself talking slower and then I don't trip myself up on the words that are coming out of my mouth because they just start spilling because I talk very fast, right? They start spilling out and then I trip over myself every once in a while and then have to catch up. So if I just allow myself to slow down a little bit, I wouldn't have those filler words, but then I'm dumbing down my energy a little bit, which is also the hard thing. So it's like, do I give the energy and just be my authentic self, or do I really try to enhance and improve? So I'm not quite sure what the answer is to that yet, but we'll find out someday.
So, you be getting another college degree.
What? Sorry, can you say that again? Because you cut out for the beginning part.
Yeah, I said, so you would probably go the Toastmasters route. You wouldn't be somebody that goes out and gets another college degree.
No, I feel like that's just debt that I don't want to add to myself. I mean, if it was a program, yeah, I think a degree is at this point is not, unless I know that I'm absolutely passionate about it and that I can hold that passion for a while, I would do it. But little certifications, I'm more than happy to do that. But
Sure, yeah.
school is a commitment. It's definitely a commitment, and I'm having trouble
Yep, that it
committing to
is.
anything other than my marriage and my family and my business. So, and even in my business, it's like,
That's
okay,
hot.
I want to do something different now. How can I still have this be a business, but do something that I want to do? Because I get bored very, very quickly. So,
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
yeah. All right, let me ask you another question. What do you love most about Chicago?
Oh, days like this when I can come to downtown, the weather is perfect. There's actually sunlight. But what I love about Chicago is the it's clean, it's beautiful, and the architecture of the city, just the nooks and crannies of art, the architecture, like even being in the same city that was the World's Fair in 1893 and looking at the some of the greatest architects who built some of this stuff. To me, by far, I think, especially when I walk downtown, what's crazy is that at one point during the World's 1893 World's Fair, the Wrigley Building was the northernmost part of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like the middle
Yeah.
of Chicago. And
Crazy.
it's so when you stand by the Wrigley Building and you think, wow, this is where it all ended, really? It's kind of mind blowing, but then you just think, God, Wrigley didn't exist. These other places didn't exist in their current iteration. They existed, but they were sort of like these far away places in the city.
Yeah.
So I think, when I look around and I look at how beautiful the skyline, the lake, yeah, it's a beautiful city.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, I love Chicago. I don't want to
So
leave.
do you come in? Do you ever come into? How often do you come into the city?
Every week, just because I have to do improv
Well,
there.
But aside, so now you're finishing up, so you don't have to be here every week.
Yeah. So for the summer, I'm traveling elsewhere, so I think it's just gonna be busy. And then I think my kids have been home, and people don't know that. I'm like expecting them to like creep up and do that one CNN video where that guy was having that interview. Did you see that?
No, I heard about it.
Yeah, this is crazy, but I'm like, are they coming? Which they can if they want to. But yeah, so I think if I were to go into the city, I mean, I'll still probably go and see shows because there's another couple classes that I'm going to take in the fall after I travel. I'm just going to miss too many weekends, and it just wouldn't make any sense. So that'll probably be the reason that I come into town and continue to be. But going out to dinner, seeing people who are coming from out of town that only like to go to the city. Well, I'll have my 20-year high school coming up. Yeah.
Or that live in the city and you just want to meet them.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for me to go. And I think there was a span when I moved into the suburbs where I was like, nope, not going to the city for a while. It's too much. But it's a nice little getaway and different. But this is the suburban life is the life I'm supposed to be living. So, yeah. Awesome. All right. Let's do one more round of questions. I'll ask you one, and then you can ask me one, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay.
All right.
So, what do I want to ask? If you had to describe yourself using 3 words, what would those words be?
Generous. I'm going to say funny.
Great. Yeah.
And a wanderer.
Wanderer. Love that. Love that. Oh, let me ask you one other quick thing, because I figured let's put me on blast for a second. So before we were talking, before we went live, you made some comment about me with regard to crazy, and I just want you to share it with everyone because it made me laugh. And this is where this is funny. So she's going to display her funniness in just a second. Do you remember what you said?
No, I did say that. I did say that doing this was the right thing to do with you. Oh yeah, I do remember, because you're definitely crazy. I'm crazy, but you're definitely 2 levels higher crazy.
Yeah.
Than I am. So I'm totally comfortable.
Yeah. So she told me that I'm 2 levels of crazy higher, which means, because I don't know what level of crazy you think you are, but then in comparison to everybody in the world, I'm probably like 5,000 levels crazier than everybody else. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to embrace it. And I am crazy. Yes. And I love it. That's me. Awesome. Okay. One more question. Throw it at me. This is the Ask April Anything segment.
What is the most thing that you have done already?
Okay, I might have to ask you to ask it again because you're cutting out still. Improv.
Okay. What is the most dangest, making up what dangest thing you would do? You haven't already.
I still didn't hear it. Oh, we're gonna have to wait until the until her signal gets a little bit better. So we'll see. Should I do like power
right
in the meantime?
I
still can't hear you, Marelda.
Is that okay?
Okay, I think I hear you clearly now.
Okay. All right.
Take 3?
Yeah. So did you hear the question at all?
No, I didn't.
Oh, so the question was, what is the most daringest thing you would do that you haven't done already, that someone might talk you through and say, you could do it?
Okay, there's definitely something. So there's not much that I won't do. And I'm very willing to try. I think one of the things that I need to do that is outside of my comfort zone, anything that does with water. I'm not a great swimmer. I think I just use it as an excuse because I never learned how to swim well, but it's the one thing where I will actively choose not to do if it has something to do with that. So like scuba diving, I don't really have any interest in doing that because I don't like the rush of water in my nose. But if I had somebody who would support me, and I've read some things that some of my friends, as they were trying it, it was like, I don't know if I could do that. But if I felt I was safe enough, I would try that. I think it would be like, but yeah.
So you want to call for a boating outing?
Yes, I will be on a boat all day, every day, and I will do that. And I mean, if you put a life jacket on me, I will do anything in the water. I've jumped off of like 30-foot cliffs and stuff like that. And, as long as I have my jacket and I can rise back to the top and know that, then I'm okay. But having to swim through water has just been really, really hard for me. Of all the crazy daring things that I want to do, like paintball this summer. I haven't done that yet, and I'm like, come on, I want to hurt. I don't want to get shot and stuff. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, well, I want to inflict pain on myself, but that is like another level of pain that I don't know if I'm ready to. But anyways, all
right,
we have come to the end of the hour. Marelda, thank you so much for improvising the show.
Oh, thank you.
and it's been amazing. And I appreciate you so much. And we were talking before the show also about how we can never tend to meet up in person, even though we're in the same city, but we can get on Zoom calls just fine. So I just thought it was funny that when I was like, okay, I gotta figure a concept out for the show, and I don't really know what that is, and I might do it alone, I might do it with somebody, I'm not sure, that this is what came out of it, and it went by super fast. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. This is great.
For all of you guys, I was gonna say season 11, not season. Episode 12 is going to air on June 27th. I will actually be not doing the show live, but I will be filming from my Alaskan adventures, where I'm leaving on Friday. So be sure to check that out. If you want to make sure that you get these videos dripped straight to your email, go to www.thecheerfulmind.com and subscribe, and you'll get the next episode as it's available. And thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.